Before steam engines existed, industry had a serious problem. Mines were flooding, factories were limited by muscle power, water wheels worked only where rivers existed. Windmills worked only when the wind felt like it. Human and animal power had reached its limit. Something stronger was needed. And surprisingly, the idea already existed. Almost 2,000 years ago in ancient Greece, an inventor named Hero of Alexandria built a strange device. It was a hollow metal sphere mounted on a pair of nozzles. When water inside was heated, steam escaped, and the sphere started spinning. This device was called the Aeolipile. It was the world's first known steam-powered machine, but there was a problem. No one saw it as useful. Steam was a curiosity, a toy, not a power source, and for nearly 17 centuries, that idea went nowhere. So why did steam power disappear for centuries? The problem wasn't the idea, the problem was technology. Early civilizations lacked strong metals. They couldn't build boilers that could safely hold pressure. They had no reliable seals, valves, or pressure control. Steam was unpredictable, and unpredictable pressure was dangerous. Water wheels and windmills were slow, but they were safe and well understood. So steam remained a curiosity, interesting to watch, but far too risky to trust with real work. It wasn't until metallurgy, machining, and basic engineering improved that steam could finally be taken seriously. Fast forward to the late 1600s. Europe was digging deeper than ever before. Coal mines kept flooding, and pumping water out was expensive and inefficient. That's when inventors returned to an old idea: steam. In 1698, Thomas Savery introduced one of the first practical steam machines. At least, practical in theory. Savery's engine used steam pressure to force water upward. There were no pistons, no moving cylinders. But it had major flaws. Savery's engine could lift water only about 10 meters vertically. That was nowhere near enough for deep coal mines. To drain deeper shafts, operators would have needed to install multiple steam machines one above another, and that created a serious problem. Savery's design relied on high-pressure steam. The more machines you added, the greater the risk of catastrophic explosions. In practice, this made the system dangerous, inefficient, and completely unsuitable for large, deep mines. Steam power still lacked a safe and scalable solution. After Savery's failures, one lesson became clear: high-pressure steam was the problem. Early boilers were weak, explosions were common, and every increase in pressure increased the danger. Engineers began searching for a safer approach. Instead of using steam pressure to do the work, they asked a different question. What if steam only created a vacuum? What if the real driving force was atmospheric pressure itself? This idea would allow steam engines to operate at much lower pressures, dramatically reducing the risk of explosions. That shift in thinking set the stage for the next major breakthrough. That breakthrough came in 1712. An English blacksmith named Thomas Newcomen built something different. Instead of using steam pressure to push, he used steam to create a vacuum. Steam filled a cylinder, cold water was injected. The steam collapsed, atmospheric pressure pushed the piston down. Simple, slow, massive, but it worked. The Newcomen engine became the first truly successful steam engine. It pumped water out of mines day and night. It ran reliably for decades. For the first time, steam power became industrially useful. There was just one issue: efficiency. Newcomen engines consumed enormous amounts of coal. Most of the heat was wasted, fuel costs were massive, Steam power worked, but it was still crude. Then came the man who changed everything. In the late 1700s, James Watt examined a Newcomen engine and noticed something critical. He made this observation while repairing a small-scale Newcomen engine model at the University of Glasgow. The cylinder was being heated, then cooled, again and again. That wasted energy. Watt's solution was simple and revolutionary: a separate condenser. Instead of cooling the main cylinder every cycle, steam was condensed in a different chamber, the cylinder stayed hot, condensation happened elsewhere. The result was dramatic. Watt's engines consumed up to 75% less coal than traditional Newcomen engines. For the first time, steam power became truly economical. Watt had solved the fuel problem. Steam engines were now efficient, reliable, economical, but there was still a limitation. Even Watt's early engines could only move up and down. That motion was perfect for pumps, but factories needed something different. Machines required continuous rotation, steady speed, controlled power delivery. An efficient pumping engine was not the same as an industrial power source. To solve this, Watt introduced a clever mechanical system known as the sun and planet gear. This design converted reciprocating motion into continuous rotational motion. It also avoided an existing crankshaft patent which Watt could not legally use at the time. With rotation finally available, steam engines could turn shafts, wheels, and belts. They could now drive factory machinery, textile looms, and industrial equipment. This is the moment when steam engines truly escaped the mines. Steam had become universal. Factories no longer needed rivers. Production could scale. Machines could run continuously. The Industrial Revolution was about to begin. But this was only the beginning. High-pressure steam engines were coming. Locomotives would soon move entire nations. Steamships would cross oceans. In the next episode, we'll look at how steam engines moved beyond early designs and how high-pressure steam changed everything. If you enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.